Hello, everybody, and good afternoon, and welcome to where are we? Friday, December the 16th. This is my Friday Live, and welcome to anybody. I know it's going to take a little while for the feed to filter out to let people know that I'm live, but if you are watching the replay, a welcome to you as well. I know there are a number of you who watch the replay. This is my final Friday Live for 2022. Can you believe that? This is the final Friday Live. So, if there's anything that you have been holding off asking or anything you would like to know more about, this is my final live for the year. I will be taking some time off in December, and so I probably won't be doing another live. I haven't worked out when, but it'll be towards the end of January. So I'm going to be taking a bit of a break from these for a little bit, spend some time with my family and rejuvenate, relax, all of those sorts of things. Hi, Tanya. Nice to see you, honey. Hello, hello. Thanks for saying hi. Thanks, Daryl. You too. I hope wishing you a wonderful Christmas. Thanks, Deezer. Thank you. I really appreciate you saying that, honey. These colours are brilliant on you. Thank you. It's actually a warm day today, so I'm in something nice and light and summery, which is really nice, I have to say. We have had the coldest start to summer in 50 years here in Melbourne, Victoria, where I am. So it's nice to see the sun shining today. So welcome everybody who's joining me today for my final Friday Live of 2022. I was umming and ahhing over whether to do one next Friday, but I've just got way too much I've got to get done before Christmas. So in order to be able to be present to you guys properly and be able to be of service, I've got to call it. As much as I love hanging out with you guys, and I would love to do another one next week, I will probably be too busy minded to really give you the time and attention that I like to do when I come live. So hi Rose, thanks for saying hi. Roseanne, it's so lovely to see you, honey. Thank you. Hi Roz. Hello. Hi Wendy. Hi, thanks for saying hi, Wendy. So lovely of you guys to say hi. I do appreciate it. I really do. I love to know if people are out there listening or who's out there and where you're from. And I know everyone, which is lovely. Every single person who said hi to me, I know where you are and where you are. I know who you are and where you are from in the world, which is lovely. So anyone else who wants to jump in and say hi, feel free to do so. So this is my final Friday Live for the year. Like I said, I will be back towards the end of January. For those of you who are not from Australia, this is our summer break. So this is why, Christmas is just not something that you take a few days off. Most people will take their extended summer vacation at this time of year. So you find generally in Australia, everything kind of shuts down from Christmas to mid-January. Not much happens here because everyone is taking a break. Generally, that's the biggest holiday period of the year. So if you're wondering why that is going on, it's because it's our summer and it's summer break. So hi Andrew, thank you so much. Merry Christmas to you too, honey. Merry Christmas to you. Hey John, hi, thanks for saying hi. Nice to see you. So if there is a question, if you've been lurking in the background there, as I know some of you do, and that's completely okay. Hi, Peter. You're looking like a Queenslander in those colours. Thank you so much. Merry Christmas, Peter. Thank you. If you are lurking in the background and you've had a question that you've wanted to ask me, but you've been a bit shy or you've been holding back, or if there's something going on in your life that you've got to deal with in the next couple of weeks, because maybe you're spending Christmas with your in-laws and your in-laws drive you crazy, or maybe it's that time of year where you've got to spend Christmas with stepchildren that drive you crazy. I mean, we've all got, this is what happens, right? We spend time with people that we don't normally spend time with, and we feel very triggered. I was just speaking to a client of mine in Europe yesterday about this exact thing, because they've got to spend Christmas with in-laws that they find a little bit triggering at times. So it's very, very common. So if there's anything you want to ask me, now is your chance, okay? And I will do my absolute best to answer it for you. But look, I did want to, as my final live for the year, I'm laughing at Brian. Brian, hey everyone. Hi Fiona, your top screams. Let's hook up the van and get out of here. Yeah, is it that obvious? No. Thanks, Brian. Oh, it's hilarious. So I guess what I wanted to say, sorry, I lost my train of thought because Brian, that was very funny, Brian. What I wanted to say is, at the start of this year, so not all of you will realize this, but at the start of the year, I set an intention. I like to set an intention for myself each year, and I don't live and die by it. Like, I'm playful with it, I'm lighthearted with it. It's not the be all and end all of life, right? It's not like that. I don't think an intention should be something that becomes the be all and end all. It's got to be something that you hold in your heart and that you can be playful with and lighthearted around. Anything that we're playful with and lighthearted around, we're a lot less rigid, and we have a lot more expansiveness around it. We see more around it. Okay, we are a lot less busy-minded around it. So I set an intention to let love in. That's been my intention for 2022. And I wanted to kind of, because this is my final Facebook Live for the year, I wanted to reflect a bit on that, on what's shown up for me from that intention this year, from having set that intention, because I've noticed some really beautiful things unfolding for me this year as I have set that intention, and I've held that in my heart, in my soul, in my energy, right? I've set that intention, the intention of letting love in. And it's an interesting thing, us humans, in how we relate to the term love. Some people will say, "Oh, you're being all fluffy, and it's not all rainbows and unicorns, Fiona." Some people see it that way. Some people think of it in terms of romantic love only. To me, love is this energy that you bring into the world. Love is the openness with which you approach life and others. Love is the amount of humility that you bring to yourself and the people around you. Love is your ability to get over yourself. Love is about you being able to let yourself off the hook when your frailties come out, and maybe you don't say something in the best way, or you make a decision that wasn't so great. When you make mistakes, right? Love is the way with which you nourish and nurture yourself through your failures, through your mistakes, through your errors of judgment, which we all make. Love then is the thing that ripples out to everyone around you. So love is very much around how you carry yourself, the amount of forgiveness in your heart for yourself and others, the way with which you hold yourself accountable, take responsibility for how you show up. There's so many ways in which you can bring love into your life. And letting love in is one of the modules of my Relatable program, and it's towards the end of the program, because I take people on a journey so that they're at a point where they're ready to look in that direction. So my Relatable members will know more about what I mean by this. But love is one of those things that I think it is the most powerful force on the earth. It is the thing that has the ripple effects that go to places we can't possibly imagine. And everybody blocks love in one way or another. When we don't forgive ourselves for a mistake, when we hold a grudge against someone, when we're judging ourselves or others, when we're rigid in what we believe is right or wrong or good or bad, when we don't have the humility to perhaps understand that there is another way of looking at something, when we struggle to find compassion for someone else's shortcomings, or our own. There's so many things, okay, that love brings and contributes. And love is one of those things that multiplies. It's like compound interest, okay? It just multiplies on its own. And so it has this profound impact upon you and the people around you. It changes your entire energy field, okay? And it's something that we innocently block, and we don't even realize that we're doing. So for me, I set that intention, and I guess the thing that I've noticed for myself this year, and I really wanted to kind of share that with you guys today. And if you have a question, I'm here answering questions as well. But I wanted to, because this is the final Q&A for the year, I wanted to kind of circle back to where I started this year, right? I've certainly noticed that in my chest, this is a physical sensation I've noticed in myself over the course of this year, is that there has been this softening in my chest. I think I never noticed it before, but it was almost like this little hard piece in my chest, and that has just gone. There's this softening. So what does that mean? It means that I guess my self-protective mechanism has dropped. That when someone is upset or angry or frustrated in my life, the compassion piece, and yes, I can see that, Wendy. Yes, the compassion piece just comes straight out. It's really amazing. My first response is compassion, whereas previously my first response would have been, "How dare you speak to me like that? I'm not putting up with this from you." Blah blah blah. Right? So there would have been a hardness to it. And don't get me wrong, compassion does not diminish you. I'm still able to say the things that I want to say. I'm still able to speak my truth. I'm still able to have the conversations if there are tough conversations that need to be had, but I have them from a completely different energy. And the energy that I bring to them is so different. And so that's one thing that I've noticed. There's been this softening, right? Hey, Jason, thanks for saying hi. Really appreciate it. Merry Christmas to you too. And Happy New Year also. Yes, love is generative and life-giving. Absolutely, Wendy. So it's so beautifully said. Yes, it is. And so I've noticed this softness, but the softness has not diminished me. In fact, I feel like the softness has given me a greater sense of myself and a deeper connection to life. I feel grateful for it. I've found myself this year having I found myself this year having many moments of feeling extremely grateful because I feel grateful. And so I've noticed that there is this greater sense of all there is. I feel a greater sense of connection to life. And I am, thanks, Mary. I did not know that this top, I actually put this top on thinking, oh, I don't know about this top. It's a little bit fluncy, but look, I'm getting wonderful feedback. So there you go. I guess I'll stick with the top. So you know what I've noticed from letting love in is that I feel more expansive. I feel more generous. I feel more compassionate in of who I am. I'm not chewing through as much mental load. I've been able to put things down. I am able to move forward without holding on to grudges, and I'm less self-righteous. I've got a I feel like everything is heightened in a good way. Right. And I get to live in this beautiful, beautiful feeling. And so letting love in, which has been an intention of mine this year, and I like to set intention, just play with them and see what happens, has brought so much more into my life, like 100-fold for me. I've just noticed that I am more impacted by the beauty in life. And look, that is something that I've always certainly been more aware of in the last few years, like, you know, delighting in the ordinary rather than waiting for the extraordinary, because as you've heard me say before, the extraordinary is made up of the ordinary. And so it means that I look at things in a way where I just go, wow. Right? There's been a lot of wow moments, and the wow moments are coming from me just looking outside my window and being blown away by my garden, or looking into the eyes of my children, or looking at my husband's smile, or feeling connected to you guys. And I have had this year, I really do want to say this, some incredible moments in the group calls with my relatable students, like where I've been brought to tears. When there is, you know, we have some of these conversations sometimes where they'll share something and I'll be like, guys, you've got me. And I have to take a moment because I get so emotional. But I love that. I love my emotionality. I love all of it. I love the vulnerability, which I feel that is there for me, that's been heightened. I feel like the dial has been turned up. And you know, the beautiful thing when you turn the dial up on love, okay, is this, and I just mentioned it a few seconds ago. I feel this, the depth of feeling, the richness of feeling is incredible. And you know, one of the things that we don't appreciate enough is the quality of feeling that is available to us in any given moment of now. If this is not the one thing that I see across the board, whenever I either have a student join my program or I start working with private clients in whatever capacity, is people start to become amazed at how much better they feel. And they're like, I didn't know I could feel like this. I did not know I could feel like this. I didn't know that was available to me. I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know what I have been blocking out, shutting down, kind of settling for in terms of how I can feel moment to moment. This is something people are so unaware of. I was for years, because I lived so much out of touch with what I'm talking about, so much out of touch with myself. And so I was asleep at the wheel. You know, when I talk about people being asleep at the wheel of their life, and I say this with kindness, but most of you are, right? Most people are. I was, and we don't even realize we are. Okay. One of the things that shows up when you're asleep at the wheel is the diminished feeling that you are in, right? And so this has been one of the most beautiful things that has shown up, is that I have this strength of feeling that I live in, depth of feeling, and it's just beautiful. It's a feeling, and it's so hard to put words to it. It's a feeling of groundedness, presence, calm, neutrality, connection, curiosity, humility. Oh, humility, that's been massive for me. I think humility is going to be the thing that I'm going to be setting an intention for next year. That's where my I'm kind of heading towards this year, is to increase the level of humility in my life, to be a lot more humble, because humility is beautiful. And it is such a wonderful place to live your life from, and so great for our relationships. Okay, truly, it's beautiful. A great place to get over yourself from. And it is a very misunderstood thing, humility. So I think that's going to be, I have a feeling that may well be the intention I end up with January, but I'm going to do some reflecting and sitting with this and see what shows up for me, right? It's this beautiful thing. Hey, Madonna, nice to see you, honey. With things coming down around us as well within our connection circles, the calm opens up to gentler connection motivated by love and not fear. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Peter, I'm learning the feeling is sharing me rather than just giving me. So powerful. Yes, it is. It is, Peter. It is. It is. It is. And I love what you've just said. And Wendy, I'm intrigued with that, Peter. Yeah, Peter, do share. How is that something? Like, what do you mean by that? What's the distinction between sharing you rather than giving you? I have a feeling I know what you mean, but I would love to hear from you. What does that mean for you? I'm just going to put what Peter's referring to up here. The feeling is sharing me rather than giving me. I think that's a beautiful distinction. So this is what has shown up for me from setting that intention back in January. Okay, this is what has shown up for me, and I'm just curious if this is something that, for those of you, because I know some of you at the beginning of the year set that intention, or if there's anything anyone wants to share what they've seen for themselves around that, if that's been something that's been a part of your life. But I kind of really wanted to circle back to it and say, this is what has been highlighted to me and shown up to me this year because of that intention that I set in January. And I'm so immensely grateful for that. I think, the other thing is that I'm so much better at getting over myself. So much better at getting over myself. Now, I think that's a lifelong learning, getting over yourself. But I love the fact that I can get over myself really quickly, something that I had always struggled with, because it brings me back to this beautiful feeling, and it takes all the angst away, right? And you've got to have a healthy dose of humility to be able to get over yourself, right? And this is absolutely the thing that people struggle with in their relationships, their inability to get over themselves, because we take everything personally. We don't realize when we're in our ego mind. We don't realize when we're projecting. We tend to look in the wrong place for the answer because we've not been taught where to look for it. And so we get a little lost. We lose our way, right? And then it's a matter of, how do we find our way back home? And so for me, letting love in is a very big part of finding my way back home. And, that's a big part of the work that I do, is helping people come back home. Because when you come back home, A, it's an amazing feeling. B, it ripples out to everybody in your life. It truly, truly does. And it ripples out to places that you can't possibly imagine. And for me, I'm all about the ripples. All about the ripples. One person changes, then the people around them feel the impact, and then the people around them, and the people around them, and the people around them, and you'd be amazed at how far that ripple can extend in your life. Puran, I'm not sure if you are trolling me or if that's genuine. I'm gonna just presume that that's genuine. Thank you very much. That's very, very kind of you. Deezer, letting love in for me is understanding that we all have frailties. Yes, it absolutely is. That we all have frailties, and we all have compassion for that, right? We all have compassion for each other's frailties. It absolutely is. And I think that's very, very, very important, that understanding we all have them. That is the human condition, right? Everybody has frailties. And they don't go away. You can't personal development frailties away. They're part and parcel of being human. And as I say all the time, you cannot escape your humanness, but you need to learn to work with it. And so many things teach you to work against it, right? Nothing wrong with frailties. They're a beautiful part of being human and they help us grow and evolve. And you have to know how to navigate your own and somebody else's frailties if you want to do relationships well. And this is definitely things that bring people undone. Peter, that I'm not giving others my power. I'm choosing what is right for me, not everyone else. Yeah, nice. Good for you. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not giving others my power. I'm choosing what's right for me, not everyone else. Yes. Now, isn't it funny that sometimes we can hear that and think, oh, you're choosing what's right for you, don't care about anyone. But actually, when you choose what's right for you, your ability to be compassionate, generous, kind, curious, loving, and open to others expands tenfold because you start to live from your own truth. And when you live from your own truth, the energy that you bring is completely different to when you don't. Right. And that's incredibly loving. And when you live from your own truth, it enables other people, gives other people permission to do that for themselves too, because they don't have to be in self-protection mode around you. They can relax and be open and let go. And these are the things that take relationships from a level of, yeah, we're okay, or we're not doing very well, to a level of a depth of connection and a level of extraordinary that's available to everyone that people don't believe is possible. And I want you to know it truly, truly is. Truly is. And they can be easy. Yes, us passionate types, lol. It's a lifelong challenge to relax and allow the softness. Yeah, the softness is beautiful. It truly is. 100% Peter. Okay, perfect. Brian, I intended to discover home this year. It wasn't what or where I expected. However, it's beyond words. Yeah. Nice, Brian. Good for you. That's beautiful. Beautiful. And I'm loving with some of the things you say here. I'm just going to pop in Deezer, letting loving for me is understanding we have frailties. And Peter, I'm just going to put some of these comments up here so people can see what we're talking about, all right? Because not everyone can see the comments. This is what's available to you all right? And this is it's the whole thing about honoring who you are and allowing your true self to come forward. Now, in order for that to happen, you have to be completely comfortable in your own skin. Okay? When you're completely comfortable in your own skin, and yes, that is possible. It's entirely possible, frailties and all, to be comfortable in your own skin. Boy, oh boy, do you show up to the world completely differently, because you stop justifying, you stop defending, you stop proving, you stop hiding, which is the ego, right? You show up from that place of openness, grace, humility, compassion. This is possible for everyone. Now, it feels amazing. And you do not lose anything. In fact, you enhance, because your mind is clear. You have clarity, and clarity creates conviction. And it's a beautiful place to be in relationship from, because people hear you. When you speak your truth, you impact others. When you speak from a self-perceived notion of what you think you should be, you do not. Right? That's called groundedness within yourself. There's a big thing that I teach my practitioners when I'm mentoring them, that they have to come from a place of groundedness, because when you do, it is a place of truth that impacts people. Truth impacts people. Truth cuts through the noise of the ego mind. Truth cuts through the noise of our personal thinking. Truth cuts through the rigidity that people hold things in life. Truth cuts right through it, and it touches people's souls, whether people know it or not. And they feel, right? They feel this incredible sense of connection. They start to get a sense of what's possible for themselves. Now, you have the power to impact someone that way, but it does require you being comfortable in your own skin. And that's entirely possible. Even if you feel that you don't weigh enough, or you don't have enough money, or you're too short, or your hair's not right, or you're this or you're that, all the things that we think need to change in order for us to be comfortable in our own skin, or you think your personality needs an overhaul, you can actually be really comfortable in your own skin without those things changing. To me, that's one of the most beautiful things about leading loving. John, respect your own principles and boundaries of others. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But respecting them from a kindness, right? Respecting them from a place of clarity, and that's knowing when you have the best thinking available to you and when you do not. You've got to know how to navigate your thinking, guys. Right? Super, super important. These are all the things I teach in Relatable. Okay. In fact, module 1 is all about that. But, as we become more comfortable in our own skin, letting love in becomes second nature. It becomes secondary. It becomes natural. It becomes a part of the way we just show up. And then, of course, you get the flow and effect of that incredible deep richness of feeling that people experience. And when people feel good, this is the amazing thing. When people feel good, your expectation of life and others goes down. Now, sometimes people can hear me say that and think, oh God, what does that mean? My expectation of life and others is going to go down. That means that, I'm not going to achieve the things I want to. No, not at all, right? You actually have more ease and flow. You're actually more productive because you're not coming from a place of limitation. You're coming from a place of possibility, okay? When you put down your expectations of yourself and others, there's more ease and flow in your life. I have a bonus program called Expectations is Why They Are the Silent Killers of Relationships in my program Relatable for that reason, because expectations really do way more damage than people understand. Okay. And you have to know when you're living from one. And most people do not. They think that's just the way things are. But expectations are a huge problem. And I noticed with my intention this year of letting love in, my expectations went right down in a good way. In a good way. I still was doing the things I wanted to do in my business. I was still being productive. I was still on track with the things that I'd set for myself for the year. But they were just enhanced in a completely different way. Because, the thing about expectations is they inevitably lead to disappointment, right? When you have expectations, you will always be disappointed. Always. Now, when people feel disappointed, they then project that onto others. And they feel like they are entitled to. You should have known what I wanted. You should have done better. You should have this. You should have that. Right? See it? And then this really detracts from goodwill. Right? So, the beautiful thing about letting love in is the amount of goodwill. That was the other thing between my husband and I has been off the charts this year, like ridiculous. And it's always been important, but this year it has actually been nuts, the amount of goodwill. Like I said to my husband the other day, I feel like we're at that point where we were when we first met each other. Like we can't wait to see one another. Where there's a lot of laughter and lightheartedness and kindness and forgiveness, letting each other off the hook, all of those sorts of things. Obviously lots and lots of passion and intimacy and these things have, it's just like I said, the dial has been turned up. It's actually been ridiculous. My husband was saying to me recently, he went out with a group of friends that he hadn't seen for ages, and they were all complaining about their partners and that the relationships weren't doing so great. And he said, I felt really bad for you because they're going, how are you? And I felt like it felt really bad. I just went, oh, we're okay. But I'm like, I couldn't relate to anything they were saying because, it's ridiculous. So truly, if this isn't something that you've tried, I encourage you to do it. And don't make it be about the other person. What I mean is stay in your own lane with this. So when it comes to letting love in, focus on you, not where someone else should be in regards to letting love to you. Letting love in is about what you're creating for you, okay? Not what someone else is creating for you. This is about you for you. All right. So don't merge lanes and make it about what someone else is or isn't doing. Right. You are the creator of your experience. Right. If you want to let love into your life, that's about you letting love in for you. All right. This is very, very, very important. Relationships are less about the couple and more about the individual thriving and doing well. You got two individuals thriving and doing well, the relationship goes to a completely different level. Right? So this is very, very, very important. Expectations is where resentments are born and nurtured. Yes, very much so. Very much so. Thanks, Wendy. Peter, I'm learning the difference between selfishness versus being self-aware and self-respect. Nice, Peter. Yeah, absolutely. I'm still very caring and aware of others and willing to share and support and love, but not at the cost of my own well-being. Beautifully put, Peter. You are on fire today. Yes, and I'm going to pop that up there because I think that's really, really important, okay? And I think that's a really great distinction for everyone who is watching and maybe listening, right? The difference between selfishness versus being self-aware and self-respect. Beautiful. I'm still very caring and aware of others and willing to share and support and love, but not at the cost of my own well-being. Love it. Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, now I do have a question that I'm going to get to in a minute, but I'm just going to check in. For those of you who are watching or listening, how is this? Is this making sense? Is this helpful to you? Do you have any questions or anything that I'm saying? Bearing in mind, this is my last live for 2022. Sorry, very thirsty. So I'm going to come to the question that I got asked, which is kind of related to this, believe it or not. And if there's anything anyone else wants to comment on about what we've been talking about, feel free to do so now. Okay, so this is the question. Hi, Fiona. I would love to know how my partner and I can overcome a core value I hold that conflicts with his work that he's very passionate about. He is involved in the horse racing industry and is continually very upset that I don't ever want to come to race meetings. He takes it personally and is disappointed as he feels I don't want to meet his friends and that I frown upon him and them for the work they are involved in. He doesn't understand I find it very distressing to be in that environment for animal welfare reasons. I've not criticised him or his friends, but do switch off as a coping strategy when he talks about the industry. I've asked him to perhaps find others he can discuss his passion with, but it hasn't worked, hoping he may be able to help. Okay. This is a great question. And pass the lemon water, thanks, Wendy. This is a great question, and I think this is really important because I've made a couple of pretty out there calls around you not necessarily having to have the same values as someone to have a great relationship, right? And people can find that a little bit triggering because there's a lot of yeah buts when I make that statement. One of the things that you've got to understand that compatibility is a feeling away, okay? Compatibility is a feeling away. It's a feeling. It's not about the thing, it's about the feeling. Okay? You can feel connected to someone even though you have very different outlooks to things because the two are not related. All right? The feeling of closeness that you generate with someone, right? The feeling that you generate is not dependent upon how much you have in common. Truly, it's not. Because it's not generated by that. It's generated internally. And this is why, again, I'm going to come back to the fact that you need to understand how we operate as human beings to really appreciate what I'm saying, okay? And again, if you want to know what I mean by that, I teach all of this inside of my Relatable program. But you've got to understand, first and foremost, where we generate our feelings from. And our feelings are not based on the things out here that look compatible. Those things out there, the boxes that you tick, that's not where the feeling is generated. This is the greatest misunderstanding and illusion that people live under, right? So compatibility is a feeling away. And the feeling that you generate is not based on those things out there, right? So that's the first thing that I want to say. So I guess what I'm going to say to this person who sent this through is, what's the feeling that you want to create with your partner? Okay. And you have to understand that the feeling that you want to create is not dependent upon what he does or doesn't do for a living. I know that's going to be triggering for some of you. And if some of you are feeling triggered, feel free to post it below. I've just said something quite controversial. I get that. And it's a little bit tricky on these lives because you haven't got the background of everything that I teach in supporting of what I'm just saying, right? But if you had the background of everything that I would teach, you would understand what I just said then. But there's only so far I can go with these lives. So you've got to understand the feeling is not dependent upon what your partner does for a living. And the other thing that I would be saying to you is, if your partner is feeling that you frown upon them for the work they are involved in, you have to take that on board, honey. Meaning, right? You've got to try on what people say. We've all got to be prepared to try something on. So many of us won't try on what someone else says because we don't agree with it. Please understand, you don't need to agree with what someone is saying in order to try it on. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. Okay? Right? Those two things are not mutually exclusive. That's the other thing that I want to say. So you need to try on, because perhaps there is some truth in that, honey. And you will do a lot better by trying that on, acknowledging that, and going, okay, maybe that is getting in the way of how I feel about this, in how my partner is perceiving the way I respond to this, right? Maybe there is, in other words, you've got to be curious, you've got to be reflective, and you've got to say to yourself, maybe there's something in this for me to look at. Now, I'm going to circle back to what I was saying about the power of humility, because that's all about humility, right? Humility is a tricky one, because we think we're being humble when we're not. So humility is being able to try on something, even if you don't agree with it, and being reflective with it and going, okay, maybe there's something for me to see here. Now, it takes humility to do that, and you've got to be able to get over yourself to do it, right? And so this is what I said earlier on in my live. These are the things people struggle with. And so that's another thing that I'd be saying to you. It's like, maybe there's something in that. So you want to get curious with him, right? You want to get curious with him and sort of say, okay, what do you mean by that? What makes you think that that I'm frowning upon you? So what you want to be able to do is you've got to be able to understand his reality around this, right? And speak to that. This is also really important. Yes, that's true, Madonna. Acceptance of his job and passion is not agreement. Yes, but this is again what I'm talking about. It's about the feeling, right? And the feeling has nothing to do with the form. That's a whole other conversation, right? The feeling has nothing to do with the form of something, believe it or not, right? The feeling and the form of something are two very, very different things. Again, and a very important part of what I teach. So this is how you are able to transcend experiences without feeling like you're giving away anything of yourself, right? And you're able to actually connect irrespective of the form. And people do it all the time, and it's entirely possible. Yes, he can also accept her boundaries, John. However, this isn't about him right now. This is about her. Okay. And so I'm speaking to where she's coming from. And so I just want to be mindful that we stay in her lane, because the minute we go into what someone else could or couldn't do, we lose the opportunity to learn the lesson that it is that we are here to learn. Right. And there's always a lesson for us to see in anything. Again, it takes humility to see it. Okay. Brian, I'd just like to say how amazing it is to see so many relatable members saying such beautiful things on this live. Yes, it is. It is. It actually is. There's a number of you on here saying beautiful things. I'm sure that a lot of us here are incredibly thankful for what you share each week for members and people who may be at the start of this amazing journey. I'm sure you'll all have a lovely time on your break, and you truly do help people find their way home when the lights start to come on. I joined in the early days, and being part of this how this has grown has been a pleasure I can't describe. Oh, Brian, you're very beautiful. Thank you, honey. That's gorgeous. Sorry, I didn't even read that before I put it up on the screen, but thank you. That's a very, very kind thing to say, Brian. Thank you so much. Hi, Diane. Nice to see you. Thanks for saying hi, honey. Okay, so getting back to the question that I've just answered there, is that it's really, really important that you're able to understand what I've just pointed out to this person who sent this through, right? What is the feeling you want to create? And it is not based on what they do or don't do for a living. I promise you. I know it looks that way. It's one of the greatest illusions out there, and a big misunderstanding that people have, right? And it's if he feels that you're frowning upon him, maybe there's something in that for you to look at, right? Maybe there is. You've got to try that on, get curious, and ask him, what makes you say that? Because the other thing that we all need to understand, and coming back to the humility piece again, we are our own biggest blind spot. Truly, we are. We are our own biggest blind spot. And so we struggle to see ourselves. We really do. We really, really, really do. What's extraordinarily obvious in someone else is not obvious within ourselves. You've got to build that ability to be reflective and look at yourself, okay? And actually really see what's going on from that perspective, without judgment, without defending yourself, without feeling right like you've got to justify, hide, prove. Whenever you're doing that, you're not really being reflective. And so that's the other thing that I'd be saying in regards to that question. Anyway, I hope you find that helpful. Okay, everybody. Well, we're getting up to the 40-minute mark. So I just wanted to say, unless anyone has anything they want to ask, share before we finish off the call today or the live today, I just want to say it's been such a pleasure to share these Friday lives with you, which I've done pretty much every Friday, except for the odd Friday here and there, for the past 12 months. And I will certainly be doing so again next year. For those of you who want to know about the Relatable program, my beautiful Relatable program, which I'm so proud of, and a number of the people here have been commenting, Peter, obviously Brian, John, Deezer, Mary, who else? Andrew, Roz, Roseanne, Tanya. For those of you, I really, really appreciate your love and support. And anybody else who comments on these lives, I appreciate your love and support this year. And I truly hope that this has helped you in some way. I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful Christmas or holiday season. For those of you who don't celebrate Christmas, and I will see you all next year. If you have a question that you want to ask me, you can send it to hello@fionalucas.com.au, and I will answer these questions for you in 2023. Until then, everybody, lots and lots of love to you all, and take care. See you all next year. Thank you, everyone. Ciao.